Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today is Tuesday, which means we are doing art around the world, and it is the last Tuesday of October, which means we're finishing up with the Philippines. And today I wanted to talk about pottery because the Philippines has a very historically rich history of pottery, and then I want to go into this really great potter, and I'm going to be showing you her work as I do sort of an overview of the history, and then I will go into talking about her. But so they discovered in the 1960s this 3,500-year-old burial jar from a cave. And in this cave, this jar had this really cool, it has sort of a zigzag pattern on it, and it has these gentlemen that are on the lid, on the top of it. It's two gentlemen on a boat. And on this boat, it's them sort of going across the river to the afterlife. And this was such a huge historical find and considered one of the, this was found in the early 1960s. And this is considered such the finest Philippine pre-colonial artwork ever produced. And it's considered a masterpiece in the Philippine ceramics. I will link a picture of this burial jar in the description box along with everything else that I am discussing. But because of this find and pottery in the Philippines really sort of peaked in the Metal Age, and that was around 200 BC to AD 900. And folks began to specialize in forms, designs, techniques, and this was referred to as like the golden age of pottery. And you know, at the time things were made, dishes, pots, things for dipping, vases, goblets, all kinds of things were being created, globular bottles, vessels for like essential use, ornamental use. There was all kinds of things being made at this time. And with sort of, I would say, with the Spanish coming along and doing different trade routes, it began to die out. There was a decrease in sort of the earthenware production. But utilitarian ceramics continued through the post-colonial period, and stoneware and porcelain products survived. So today in the Philippines, there is a huge flourish, and there are a bunch of folks and different like teams, and there's, you know, a couple folks that are married that have their own place, and people are trying to pick it back up and let folks know around the world that Philippine pottery is still very much alive and thriving and absolutely beautiful. So what I want to talk about is what I'm showing you. And you're like, what are you showing me? I am showing you pottery from Sigrid Bengay Pottery. So this is up north in the mountain town of Sagada, and this is a potter who specializes in stoneware in using sort of the local Sagada design. Oh, here's a video. Videos are my favorite. Okay, so what sets her apart from the rest of the potters and things is her ability to identify clay deposits, which she, together with some others in the local community, haul and process into shapeable form. So her name is Sigrid Bengay, and she is an artisan who is trained under another American ceramic artist. And what they do, and this absolutely blew me away when I read this, and I had to share her with you and like talk about this because I think it's just phenomenal. They scout clay around Sagada, and they process it, form it, and test it at a stoneware temperature of 2,350 degrees Fahrenheit. And if the clay is good, they haul it in bulk, soak it in water for at least 3 to 5 days, sieve it through 3 times to bigger screen sizes, and then they drip dry it for 2 to 3 months. And when the consistency is sort of what is desired, the 70-80% clay is combined with a 20 to 30% commercial clay. So, and then when they go to wedge the clay, which is sort of form it into usable chunks, wedging clay is something they will teach you in pottery class. They sort of you need the chunks to remove all the air bubbles into like just a mass or a chunk that's usable. That has to be aged for at least 3 weeks before being able to throw it on a potter's wheel. And then from there, which absolutely blows my mind, they then process it for another 3 to 5 days depending on the weather. So, and then once the design piece is trimmed, it's made and trimmed, which is putting like a little foot on the base of the pot. The pieces have to air dry for another month. So, to put this in perspective, when you go to take pottery at like a regular pottery class in the city, in say like a place like the United States, you will buy an already pieced, it's a huge block. It's like a 12-pound block. Sometimes they have 25-pound blocks depending on what you're looking for. Let's see if I can get these sort of sized down a little bit. You can cut them and slice them and then wedge them right then and there to get air bubbles out. And then you can work them just directly on from there. You know, after wedging for, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, you can then put it on the pottery wheel, spin it, make your design, and then you let it sit for 1 to 2 days. So then you can trim it, and then it only has to, they have like an air drying firing. So you don't have to let it sit for months at a time. This is such a huge, intensive process. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Of waiting, you know. And I do know a couple people that harvest clay from their property, but I cannot imagine what level of bulk she's doing where it has to, you know, sit for a week, drip dry for 2 to 3 months. This whole entire huge process from start to finish must take, you know, 5 months a piece to create these pieces. And that is absolutely wild. And like at any given point, there must be clay in different varying levels of drying and setting and sieving and hardening. And that is just, that's a passion for pottery, because that is an all-day thing. And these are just really, really cool. These are super fun. And it blew me away, like the time spent to create these pieces, to harvest the clay from the area. And then they still have to mix it a little bit with commercial clay, so that lets me know that it may be too soft. And a commercial clay maybe has some grog or grit to it, maybe, that helps. These are really beautiful. And I just wanted to share this with you. I know that in some areas the pandemic hit really hard, especially if they were selling to tourists, if the tourist was their main income. It would be really cool if, you know, I understand that these small places can't, you know, do all the shipping too, because to have shipping international and do web pages and do marketing and do all that thing is like 5 other people you need to hire for those jobs. Advertising, marketing, web design, shipping, that's a lot of work. But I think these pieces are really beautiful, and I just have so much respect for the amount of work that went in to create them. And these are just beautiful teapots and teacups. And it is definitely tea weather where I'm at. And these are just really cool sculptural heads. I think those are really, really neat. And I would, hands down, be buying a platter. Hands down. These handmade pottery makes such wonderful, like, Christmas gifts and stuff. And holiday gifts. These look like they've just been glazed, but not fired. That's kind of the color of some glazes. Pre-firing. They look kind of a strange green. And there they are after being fired, so those are really pretty. And you can see how thin those teacups are. I cannot throw that thin, so definitely, definitely incredibly talented. I mean, that is a beautiful plate. I can't with that. That is absolutely stunning. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.